Hello and welcome to week 5 of Introduction to Python. This week we're going to get you started using Pandas, one of the most important libraries for any data scientist using Python. Pandas is basically made up of two things, Pandas series and Pandas data frames. And this week you're going to learn about how to use both of those and some basic functions of each. So what is Pandas and what is a Pandas data frame? Here is our weekly course notebook that you'll find on the course page. You can always import Pandas as PD. Last week we found out that you can actually import NumPy as NP. Well, now we're actually going to be importing Pandas as PD. It's important to remember that you should always actually be importing these libraries in this way using these aliases. Now, typically what we'll do is to get started with Pandas, we actually want to get data into Pandas in some way. The best way to do that is to just save some object with some data in it, and then actually we can just start a Pandas data frame. Now, if you remember last week, we talked about NumPy arrays. NumPy arrays were basically just columns and rows of numbers. Now, a Pandas data frame is quite similar to a NumPy array, but it gives you many extra features. For example, we can see here that we have actually labeled columns, and we have labeled rows. This thing right here on the side, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, is called the index of the data frame. And over here we have the column names or the feature names for each column. The data frame, a structure like this, is very similar to what you might see in an Excel spreadsheet with columns and rows. But it's a lot more powerful because we can actually select columns and rows through different methodologies that we'll discuss this week. Whenever you make a data frame, though, this actually is just this method right here, pd.dataframe, is just returning a data frame. We actually want to save it. So we're going to save it to something called df, or data frame. Typically, when you don't know what else to call your data frame, we'll call it df. But you can put actually any name you want here. Now that the data frame is saved as an object, we can then refer to it. Using df.head tells us the top of the data frame. And we can see here that we have the top of the data frame. If you'd like, though, and you don't necessarily want just the top, you can also get the bottom. The bottom you can get by using df.tail. And you can see df.tail will actually show you the bottom of the data frame. But here, the data frame only has 5 rows. So the top and the bottom look the same because it's the entire data frame. Okay, that's just really simple on how to use data frames. I hope that you already see that it's easier to use data frames than it is NumPy arrays for various reasons. Mostly because everything has a name and it's actually structured data so that we can actually pull things out and do different things with it. In the next video, what we'll do is we'll take a look at Pandas series and see how they're actually the building blocks of a data frame.